am the resurrection and the life. He that believeth in me, though he were dead, yet shall he live. And whosoever liveth and believeth in me shall never die. We commend unto thy hands of mercy, most merciful Father, the soul of our sister departed, and we commit her body to the ground. Earth to earth, ashes to ashes, dust to dust.
Welcome to our review of Vampyr?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce it.
I want to say Vampyr, but every time I say Vampyr, I want to do it like I'm living in Bram Stoker's Dracula and I can't do the accent, so Vampyr. So, Vampyr is an action RPG made by Dontnod Games, so the guys that made Life is Strange. Most famously, they made Life is Strange, but actually the thing for me that I think you need to remember when you watch this video and listen to this review is actually they made a futuristic action RPG type thing a few years back called Remember Me. Did you play Remember Me?
I wanted to, but then after looking into it like at all, I decided against it.
That was a good choice. Remember Me was not rubbish, not at all, but it was, let's say, flawed. But they've tried to. So Dontnod have kind of gone, right, we're not going to do the episodic thing anymore, we're going to do this big action RPG. So this is where we've ended up. It's set in London,
as all good things are.
As all good things should be. In mid-1918, I think, so not quite the end of the war, but in the midst of the Spanish flu pandemic. And you play Jonathan Reed, the first time you meet Jonathan Reed is literally, it's here. You wake up, you don't know what the hell is going on, but you suddenly find yourself like desperate to eat people. And basically the point of the game is you have to figure out how and why you've become a vampire, who's done this to you, and at the same time kind of grow to live with what you are. So a lot like Remember Me beforehand, and definitely a lot like Life is Strange, there's a big focus here on story. There's the action RPG elements, you beat stuff up and you upgrade and all that kind of stuff, but it's a very, very story heavy game. And you play this world-renowned doctor who ironically becomes famous doing blood transfusion experiments.
Nice.
Which is just a beautiful irony. I think it's amazing, and it's a little, and it is obvious, but it's just a little thing where I chuckle every time it's mentioned. So yeah, you first meet him literally in his worst state ever. He's got no idea what's going on, and he needs to figure out why he feels the need to, like I say, eat things.
People. Eat people.
You can eat rats.
And cows?
No
Are there any cows?
There's no cows. I certainly haven't met any yet. All the footage I've put into the review is quite early on in the game, but I am quite far through. I'm pretty sure I'm nearly finished. I just didn't want to put anything that might look like a spoiler in, so I kept everything to early portions of the game. The thing with this is it's choice based, so you have kind of a morality system, and I have to admit that I don't generally think it works as well as the developers want it to. There's a big warning at the beginning. I'll say warning, it's like an informational thing at the beginning of the game, and it will say to you, this game will be easier if you kill people.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, so basically you have an upgrade tree, you have so to cover passive stuff like healing and how much health you have. You have a stamina bar which you can make bigger and you can improve. You can improve your combat, you can improve your weapons, everything is upgradable. But if you don't kill people, you don't get XP, and if you don't get XP, you can't upgrade anything. Now on paper, this, as you know, we've said a dozen times on the podcast, on videos before, on paper, that should be perfect for me, because any game that I can stealth my way through with a beautiful passive playthrough, I'm more than happy with. The problem is, I very quickly found myself in combat. So apart from the fact that developers say in their diaries that it's possible to play the game without killing anybody, you kill somebody in the opening minute of the game.
Right.
And then you get kind of, I wouldn't call them a boss character, but they're like a bigger, you know, like you get in RPGs especially, you get like a mid boss. So suddenly,
Yeah, the mid-level boss.
you have to fight a big dude, and now these big dudes are everywhere. And I kind of found myself fighting this guy. I'm like, well, I had no way of getting around this dude without fighting him. There was no sneak method. There was no talk my way out of it. Now I'm in combat.
Just get in there and beat him up.
Yeah.
Murder.
So, ignoring the fact that I really wanted to do a pacifist playthrough and couldn't because of this, the big issue I found is if I was playing as a pacifist or trying to play as a pacifist, which is what I was doing, I am now very, very underleveled and very underskilled against people that are whooping my ass badly.
Pacifist vampire.
Pacifist vampire. There have been a few in films and, well, not games, I suppose, but you know, we've always had the ones that don't want to be vampires or struggled with being vampires. And I really liked that side of it. I really liked this doctor who wants to help people. Very early on in this game, you meet another doctor who runs a hospital, and you spend a lot of time helping out in this hospital. See here, there's no way for me to get through this section without killing people.
Yeah.
I don't understand. But yeah, you very quickly meet this doctor who's running a hospital, who are running on a shoestring, trying to keep the epidemic of Spanish flu at bay, and not really winning that battle. So you spend a lot of your time helping them. So you get to be a good guy. You get to be a doctor, and the best part of this game, and I'm going to say this over and over again, the best part of this game is watching your character, this Dr. Reed, fight between needing to drink blood and the natural urges that come to him being a vampire, and him fighting against it because he wants to be a doctor and he wants to, you know, first do no harm. But his entire nature now is to harm everything around him. I'll tell you what, I'll go through my, I've got a little bit of a pros and cons list for this game. And I think it's pretty even. The pros list, I'll start with it, it looks lovely. It's built in Unreal 4. The footage we're watching, I recorded off of my PS4 Pro. It looks lovely, the lighting's beautiful. It's not as good as some of the dev footage I've seen. Like, there's a lot of alpha footage floating around from devs doing gameplay walkthroughs, and obviously I would say it's probably done on PC, or they've got like one little section of the game and ramped everything up because it doesn't look as gorgeous as it does in some of the videos. But that's not to say it doesn't look good. It's London in 1918. It's gonna look brown and grey, and it's all set at night because you're a vampire, so it's gonna look black. Obviously, you'd get a better quality out of it on a PC, but on PS4 Pro it looks nice. Plays alright, I suppose. I like the choice and consequences thing. There's a web of people in the game, all NPCs. There's a web of these people that you can talk to, have massive conversations with, multi-branching conversation trees. So each person's got a history, each person's got stuff they can tell you. They're really, really interesting. And because you have this setup where you can choose to kill people or not, if you kill these people, it will affect the game later on, or can affect the game later on. So you can walk into, say, a pub and kill the owner of the pub if you really feel the need. But
free drinks forever.
You need him to talk to you later on to further a mission, and if you've killed him, obviously you can't do that. Now, I don't know how that would play out in that particular instance because I didn't kill the pub owner because he seems like a very nice man, so I kind of left him be. The conversation trees are good and they're interesting, and a lot of it is what pads out the playing time on this game, I think. The game is not particularly long, but if you want to talk to everybody and get all their stories and get all the hints, it's really it's interesting, but it is a time sink listening to all these people. But the choices you have when you're in these conversation trees, you can choose to. It's called mesmerize in this game, so it's a bit like glamoring. Some films and books have called it, but you basically take control of these people and walk them into a dark corner and then eat them, and that's how you get massive amounts of XP by eating regular citizens that you can talk to, like characters, not just other vampires you face.
So this lady.
So this lady, if you want to, you can see in the top left-hand corner, it just says mesmerize, and because it's red, it means that my conversation skills aren't as high as hers, so I can't do it to her, but I can do it to the random beggar around the corner, get myself 700 XP and use it to upgrade.
Okay.
But this is kind of what I mean. Now, this is one of the problems I've had, actually. I did get stuck for a little while because I found myself in combat with a guy and I couldn't beat him. Him and his cronies, I was getting my ass handed to me as this dude was coming at me with a flamethrower of all things. So I then had to spend 2 hours walking around finding NPCs that I had a similar conversation level to and just eating them to get their XP so I could go and upgrade. So, I mean, the idea of being a pacifist went right out the window because there was no way past this guy without talking. I talked to everybody who could further this quest, and I had no choice now but to go and see this and find out what happened. And ended up in this big battle that I'm severely underleveled for. Or not underleveled, underpowered for, because I believe that the characters level up with you, apart from a couple of monsters that you meet, who will always be quite high up compared to you. But the world reacts, the entire world reacts to your changes. So every time you rest, so you rest to upgrade. So you have to go lie down and then you do your upgrades, then sleep, and then it's the next night. And overnight, or over the day, while you're asleep, the world changes and you'll wake up to a chart of people who are dead or dying, or how particular districts have changed because of what you've done. So if you spend 2 hours walking around killing everybody in a district, you will wake up the next day to it being in quite a shit state because there's a lot of dead people and no one knows why. In that respect, the choice and the world that moves with what you do is very, very good. But I do still think it's heavily leaned on for you to be a killer. Which is a vampire game I think is okay, but it just seems like an illusion of choice as opposed to an actual choice as to whether or not you kill people. Killing people is the way to further yourself in the game. And the same way, like when you're in combat, or if you manage to... Let's assume that some of these fights you don't have a choice but to fight, but they don't go against your passive, or they don't go against your pacifist playthrough. You still then need a lot of the things you do, a lot of your actions they use blood. Blood is your third bar. So you have health, stamina, and blood. So you have to drink blood to give you power to do things. And it's in like big claw swipes and big, like you have like these massive moves that will take out like 3 or 4 people at the same time. But all of those use blood. You don't just get blood, you have to kill things for it. So again, the choice is taken away from you. If you want to beat these people, you have to go killing people and get yourself some blood. So I think that the idea of it being there being a pacifist run through is a bit of an illusion. I don't think it's there. This was supposed to be my pros list.
Yep.
My cons list, well, it's fucking dark. Like the video we're watching here, I've had to ramp the brightness up right to the top because I just couldn't see anything. I couldn't see anything on the screen, and I understand I'm playing in London at night and it's all brown and fog, but I couldn't see anything. If I played during the day, I had to have all the curtains closed. At one point, I swear to you, I put a not a towel, but like another curtain over my blinds because sun was bleeding in from my blinds and I couldn't see anything on the screen. You know, I don't live in Hawaii. I'm not playing outside in the summer. I'm in my living room and I still couldn't see anything. It's very dark.
Cool.
Combat sucks. Combat feels very samey. You have a lot of different weapons you can get, but you have a stun weapon, so you can throw when you stun people, you throw it, and you stun, or you hit people with it. It stuns them. When you knock their stun bar down, you can drink their blood, get some energy, do some damage. You have a normal aggressive weapon, so an old hacksaw that you
Or a machete.
or a machete, which is what my normal one is. And then you can have like two-handed weapons. So
A giant pair of scissors.
well, the two-handed weapon is it's like a big staff thing with you beat them up with, and at that point, combat changes because you can parry with it, and when you parry with it, you do some damage and do some stun, and it works really well. But it's very slow, and it feels like you're too slow compared to the people you're fighting against, especially when everyone can kind of if you get into a situation with a lot of people fighting you, you can end up being swarmed, and you need to not just be stood there waiting for a few seconds while your stamina bar refills because 2 swipes of this thing just wiped it out. You have guns for long-range attacks and long-range stun as well. They stun your attacker as well. They're not the greatest, and I think that's probably because you don't rely on them, because relying on guns in a game like this would be kind of rubbish.
Is ammo scarce as well?
Ammo is kind of scarce. You get a refill box in every hideout, and hideouts are where you go do your upgrades and go sleep and evolve. There's a refill box in every hideout, but it doesn't refill everything. But the problem would be if you gave everybody a machine gun and unlimited ammunition, and now you're basically playing the Order 1888 or 1886. So no one wants that. No one ever wants that. My last big complaint about this game is a weird one. Because it's semi-open world, so there's a lot of stories to follow, there's a lot of places to explore, there's no fast travel. And I did start getting rather annoyed running across the map to talk to other people just to further the story on, just to run back to where I was. And each time you have to do it, you have to fight through respawning enemies. I don't have the time or patience for this. I want to just move on. Because you don't get a lot of XP from just combat. I'll give you an example. Like your first health upgrade costs you 300 XP. When you kill one guy, you get 5 XP. So if I want to go around grinding just kills for upgrades, I'm going to be here for a long time.
Yeah.
It's not worth it. So what I want to do is fast travel to the places I want to go. Go to the pub, talk to people, and then go back to where I want it to be. Even if I have to run around and unlock it, I don't mind that. If I could fast travel to hideouts, that would be great. I've been playing the game for 18, 20 hours, and I certainly haven't found a way to fast travel yet. If it's there, I don't know about it.
Yeah, I mean, you're a vampire. You should be able to, like, turn into a bat or, travel quickly somewhere.
Let me fly, man. Infamous Festival of Blood let me fly around when I was a vampire. Overall, though, it sounds like I'm really ragging on the game, and I do have a lot of problems with it. I do think Dontnod have very high expectations for themselves and haven't quite met them yet. But it's a solid game. I did enjoy it a lot. As a horror fan, it ticks a lot of my boxes. It's just a gothic mystery story. It's all blood and fog. There's no jump scares or anything, so people that aren't horror fans will still enjoy it, but there's just something about it I really like. I don't know, a solid 6.5 out of 10, if I had to give it a score.
You got beaten there.
I did. Well, I've left this in purposely because, my God, this is all real time. My God, if you die, the loading screens take a while.
Wow.
This was one of my bugbears, and this is why it's not a great game. It's just a good game or an okay game. because if I'm not leveled up enough for combat and I keep dying, this is what I'm presented with every single time. And
This loading screen is longer than you took in that combat.
Exactly. And this has happened quite a few times to me, because I was not ready for the combat I just walked myself into. But no, overall it's a good game. 40 quid game. Personally, I'd probably pick it up for 40 quid because it ticks all my boxes, but wait for a sale if you're going to buy it.
It'll probably be free soon. Well,
yeah.
This time next year.
Yeah, it's worth waiting for.
So it's a Games with Gold rental.
It really is, yeah.